with little power to actually push back against Republicans, today Judge Barrett is one step closer to becoming Justice Barrett.
In the U.S. Capitol now resembles a federal prison after barbed wire was installed on top of the fences surrounding the entire perimeter.
Crowds have literally been here from sun up to sundown since she passed on Friday. Good morning. It really was a remarkable and unforgettable scene that played out at the U.S. Capitol yesterday. Democrats are saying that this is an urgent matter and they're looking to impeach the president for the second time as early as Wednesday.
Any word on whether the Senate will act?
Well, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell put out a statement just moments after the House voted to impeach President Trump, refusing to bring the Senate back early. It is a stark reality that the new Biden administration is going to have to face head on. I know a CNN poll that was conducted just after the insurrection showed that 3 out of 4 Republicans believe that this election was illegitimate. Around Washington, D.C., stores are boarding up. City officials have called on the National Guard. If convicted, the 4 people charged with vandalizing this Andrew Jackson statue here just outside the White House could face up to 10 years in prison. President Biden's order goes a step further by increasing payments for the nation's poorest families who were already receiving the maximum amount before the pandemic hit. While many out here are celebrating the news, Senator Durbin warns dreamers aren't in the clear just yet.
What is the feeling in Washington?
Lawmakers I'm talking to saying they really just want to rally behind one candidate, and they're trying to get that message out to voters in particular to ensure that the Democratic base comes together when it comes to the general election. Former Vice President Joe Biden believes that the numbers are in his favor to get to that 270 electoral college count that he needs to claim victory. But President Trump thinks he is not out of this race. Do you believe that President Trump bears any responsibility for what transpired on Wednesday? I know people who did breach the Capitol were saying fight for Trump as they entered the halls.
I'm sure that President Trump would have never wanted anything like that to happen.
Talked about also holding hearings on this matter on the January 6th insurrection. How soon do you think we might be able to see some action coming from your committee digging into this?
There are going to be several levels of investigation that are going to continue.
Do Americans need to be worried?
We really need to be vigilant, to be watching for this.
Speaker, we are debating this historic measure at an actual crime scene.
Exactly 1 week after a mob unleashed a deadly attack at the U.S. Capitol, House lawmakers moved to hold President Trump responsible.
He must go. He is a clear and present danger to the nation.
Wednesday, House lawmakers debated the article of impeachment, which charges President Trump with inciting the violent insurrection.
Man up, woman up, and defend this Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, including Donald J. Trump.
Unlike the last impeachment effort, several Republicans voiced support.
There is no excuse for President Trump's actions.
But the vast majority pushed back.
I cannot think of a more petty, vindictive, and gratuitous act.
Congressman Tom McClintock and Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan insist impeaching the president just a week before he leaves office is too divisive.
Do not know where all this goes. And this is frightening for the country.
Illinois Republican Rodney Davis instead called on Congress to investigate the attacks.
Republicans and Democrats need to work together.
But Democrats say the real problem is the president's false claim that the election was stolen.
They took down the American flag and replaced it with a Trump flag. Is this the kind of country you want to live in?
Each ballot must be counted, and that's how it should be.
With the path to re-election looking increasingly precarious for the president, Joe Biden again this afternoon stopped short of claiming victory.
We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners.
As the last pool of ballots are tallied, President Trump has gone from claiming an outright victory Wednesday morning.
We won Texas. We won Texas.
To launching a full-on legal crusade to stop ballot counting in key battlegrounds, Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. The president's campaign claims state election officials are not being transparent about their counts and counting ballots that should be disqualified.
There's really not much merit to those cases.
Paul Schiff-Brennan, a law professor at George Washington University, says the president's lawsuits should not go far.
There is nothing nefarious going on. All that states are doing is counting legally cast votes.
Already, judges in Georgia and Michigan have dismissed the Trump campaign's legal challenges.
This is what democracy looks like.
It's a major relief for young people known as dreamers. The Supreme Court ruling for now prevents the Trump administration from ending an Obama-era program called DACA, which allows undocumented immigrants who arrived in the country illegally as children to remain in the U.S.
We're here to stay, and we're here to, be part of the United States because this is our home.
Angel Silva, born in Mexico, is one of more than 700,000 Dreamers in the U.S. In 2017, the Trump administration ordered an end to the program.
Part of me is relieved. Been 3 years of uncertainty, been 3 years of not knowing what's going to happen.
They can continue to live, to work, and to study in America without fear of deportation.
Illinois Democratic Senator Dick Durbin has long championed the Dreamers.
Over 40,000 of them are healthcare workers. We need you.
While many out here are celebrating the news, Senator Durbin warns Dreamers aren't in the clear just yet. He says Congress needs to act to pass permanent protections.
Pass the Dream and Promise Act, which would take care of the DACA issue once and for all.
In his opinion, Chief Justice Roberts also urged Congress to act. He wrote that the Trump administration did not properly consider the consequences of dismantling DACA so abruptly and could try again. President Trump on Twitter called the ruling horrible and political. And Missouri Republican Josh Hawley agreed, tweeting the court continues to invent and rewrite statutes at will. In Washington, Raquel Martin.
Never again should the world be subjected to witnessing what we saw on the streets in Minneapolis.
After days of consecutive protests, Monday, House Democrats answered calls for change by introducing sweeping police reforms to end police brutality.
We have to follow the will and wishes of the American people.
Missouri Democrat Congressman Lacey Clay says the plan, dubbed the Justice in Policing Act, aims to hold law enforcement accountable for misconduct.
African Americans have experienced unequal treatment for far too long, and this is not just occurring in big urban centers, it's happening in suburban America, it's happening in rural America.
The bill mandates all law enforcement undergo racial bias training, makes it easier for victims of police brutality to sue, and creates the first national database to track and prevent officers guilty of misconduct from being rehired. Illinois Congresswoman Robin Kelly says she's hopeful the bill will pass.
I think we have reached a tipping point, and I think this will not be a moment, but it will be a movement.
Speaker Pelosi says already the bill has roughly 200 co-sponsors in the House and the Senate, but so far no Republicans have signed on.
He's looking at a number of proposals.
White House officials say the president is open to some reforms, but say this plan has flaws.
There are some non-starters in there, I would say, particularly on the immunity issue.
Democrats say they want their bill passed by July. In Washington, Raquel Martin.
If we do not have a coordinated response, people are going to die. We're going to have patients die and healthcare providers die.
University of Michigan Dr. Maylon Hahn says the shortage of medical supplies at hospitals across the country is its own crisis.
We are doing creative things with personal protective equipment I never would have dreamed of. I have never seen this level of anxiety among healthcare workers.
And with the number of patients needing care increasing, she's calling on the federal government to step in.
The states would do their best to meet the challenge, but I think they're not going to be able to do it with the time pressures that we have.
We have to be coordinated.
Michigan Senator Gary Peters says the Trump administration's choice to let states lead is slowing progress.
Now states are out trying to buy where they can, and what happens is they tend to bid against each other.
With the national stockpile of protective equipment running low, the White House says it is working to purchase more, but they're also encouraging states to do more too.
The notion of the federal stockpile was it's supposed to be our stockpile. It's not supposed to be state stockpiles that they then use.
We have to think differently.
Michigan Republican Congressman Bill Huizenga says the White House is right.
This is not the time to turn this into a political football. You have to have some federal coordination, yet at the same time having states, the states will know better what they need.
I'm absolutely furious.
But while lawmakers fight, Maylon says time is running out. In Washington, Raquel Martin.